Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, it's 30-something degrees. Soon it'll be in the 20s. And that's the way it is. And it's colder elsewhere and a lot hotter some places. And some places have shortages. But we can celebrate those yahoos who think global warming is a figment of our imagination. It is not. And people suffer because of the stupidity and lies that people tell about so many things, including global warming. Okay, I'm off my soapbox on that issue. I may have trouble walking for a while. That is to say, get out on the road, because I'm having an operation on Friday, outpatient, because of a little scar in my right eye. They say it's not really a scar. That's a metaphor for what it is. And once before I had eye surgery, and this brilliant doctor, really, was like a kid when she put me on the table and she strapped down my head with tape. It was like being in one of these CIA movies. And she thought it was hilarious, and her face was upside down to mine. Well, this is the same doctor who's going to look at this. But afterwards, they put a little bubble of air in your eye, which allows the laser to do its work on the portion that is considered scarred. And why would you do this if you didn't have to? Well, it does affect your vision, because this little spot causes a hole when you're looking at a document or something. Now the other eye is fine, so and it may work and it may not work, but I'm supposed to be flat down on my face for several days, and then I am allowed to walk, but I can't do some of the other exercises that I do. And that's maybe more than you want, but that's the explanation if you see me less frequently as of the operation on Friday. So, what's going on the Hill? Well, I don't have any access to the behind closed door meetings that are happening on the Ways and Means Committee to decide what to do with Trump's tax returns. They spent all this time to get them, and they never thought what they were going to do with them when they got them. And some are saying they shouldn't be released in any form. And some say all we'll see will be summaries. It's like some sort of channel mentality. We focus on some detail and we ignore the fact that this is a guy who has confidential material he may be sharing with other nation states that might be reflected directly or indirectly in his tax returns. This is a guy who throws his weight around being worth so much, but we know of at least 2 years he paid about $750 in taxes total. Now his response when he was called out by the New York Times, I believe, he said, "Oh, I pay lots of taxes elsewhere." Yeah, right. This guy is I guess an oral magician. He's always shifting your attention away to something else. So we should have the returns. We should have all the damn returns. And these guys should not worry about seeking the returns of Obama or Biden or anybody else, all of whom, past presidents, have made their returns public. Duh. So if you have the resolve to get into a fight, you must consider the fact that it is possible you'll win. Were they so certain they'd lose they'd never have to make this decision? You got to wonder about these people. Anyhow, I guess by the end of the day, we'll have some idea what they're doing on the Hill. Yesterday was a big day, historically, and in terms of substance. It was the House of Representatives with some of the finest men and women that the House has to offer, that the nation has to offer in service for our democracy. And they acquitted themselves well. Indeed, they were great doing what they were doing. And the most important thing they did, and I said this last night on Ari, was to hold the Department of Justice's feet to the fire. And I don't think you can do much with Garland. So the real question is, how good is Jack Smith in bureaucratic politics and fighting as compared to prosecuting a case? Because Maine justice is a rat's nest, and it's going to be very hard to struggle to get through there. I was in official corruption in the Southern District of New York, and the most demanding, difficult thing to work on was an indictment we did against a congressman from Pennsylvania. And I think it took longer than the investigation. And everybody wanted credit. And, oh, it was a terrible... Well, that's the way it is. So we need strong-bodied people who really believe that the outcome is an indictment for crimes. And I don't say this presuming away questions of evidence. There's this talk about, oh, that's hearsay. Well, stop the music. Hearsay is great evidence. For example, and the best example is you admit, I killed Joe over there. That's an admission against interest. It's considered highly reliable. But he is saying it. It is hearsay. It is an exception to the hearsay rule because of its reliability. If somebody is stopped by the cops and say he blurts out, "This isn't about that robbery, is it?" That's a spontaneous utterance. It's hearsay. It's admissible because it's considered so genuine because it was said the way that it was said. Another one is, like the Justice Department. Hey, they know evidence in a way we mortals cannot know evidence. Oh, no. And one of them is circumstantial evidence. And, the example of that is usually a person walks into a room with a long coat, has rain all over it, and an umbrella that's wet that he shakes and closes. That's circumstantial evidence it's raining outside. Now, it's possible somebody threw a bucket of water at him, but he still had that raincoat on, and he still had that bumbershoot, the umbrella. Well, how about Trump? Hey, I want to make sure that they're allowed to have their weapons. I want to go to the Hill to, lead the charge. What is that circumstantial evidence of? That he intended to take over the government? That he intended to push what he could not get from Pence? That's circumstantial evidence. Now, one of the best pieces of hearsay, in my opinion, is what Trump said to the Secretary of State in Georgia. Do me a favor, give me a break. Give me all those votes that I need so I can beat Biden, who is beating me. I need exactly those number of votes, and just give me one more so that I can beat him. So, America, well, since Perry Mason is smarter than these Department of Justice apologists who would have us do absolutely nothing. You think I'm joking? Look at what they're always telling us. Oh, prosecuting a president, that's hard stuff. Well, a lot of people get prosecuted and fall down. That is, they are convicted and they go to jail. No matter how high they are, they can fall as far down. So we have to keep that in mind. There's a tide in the world. We haven't dealt with immigration. I can't remember when we've done anything. We have been concerned about the children who are here and born. But the bigger problem we're not paying attention to. It's become a political football. And in Europe, there's a tide that's making it a crisis there. And it's a worldwide crisis. War, disparate supplies of food, weather conditions, sparsity. These kinds of things are going to affect how people move across the globe. They're going to try to go to the places where they can survive, even though maybe they can't. So, those are a few of my thoughts on the day after the historic disgorgement of the crimes alleged against Trump. Referred to a department that needs to be awakened. And if they say stupid things like, there's no formal way to force us to do anything. No more than when you go to a police officer after you got the shit kicked out of you on the street and somewhere in lower Manhattan, and you ask them to do something. It's no more than that. That is lodging a complaint that a crime has been committed, and you, the law enforcement, are supposed to go out and do something about it. Too much. So it's cold and it's beautiful at the same time. So how appropriate. That was a green car. I mean, it was totally green. So I say goodbye to you for today from my cathedral of trees. And I suppose I'll be able to talk tomorrow and the next day. But then after that, I don't know for a while. Bye-bye.